How's it going? I was actually just sitting here doing some planning, and I thought I would actually share a little of it with you because I know it's a little bit weird to start planning for the new year in September, but I think it's actually the secret to truly hitting your targets. And there's a couple reasons. Um, that I do it and why I got into it and why I actually recommend that my clients do it as well. And I host a workshop called the Best Year Yet workshop, which I'm going to do again this year. So if I have details for it yet, I'll leave them here. But I'm not sure that I will because it's a bit early. But here's the thing. What I noticed is that a lot of people make really sick New Year's resolutions in January. That's just kind of how it goes. The motivation is there in January. We're all really excited about the new year. And I love that. I love the energy of the new year. And specifically in the entrepreneurial world, I feel like people's best ideas come out. They're really motivated. So that's awesome. But I also tend to work with a lot of people starting in and around March. And when I do, I'll ask them about what their big year goal is and stuff like that. And a lot of times, people will have already abandoned that big goal or the progress that they know they need to make on it by March. And I've done this myself as well. I've even, looked back at my goals at the end of the year and realized I hadn't hit a single one. And it was actually one year, I think it was right before 2018, that I noticed this in my journal. I saw my goals from the year before and they looked identical to the goals that I was resetting the next year. And I decided that's never going to happen again. And I'm going to figure out, how do people effectively goal set, and what's the difference between people who crush every one of their goals and the people who forget about them by March. And one thing that I realized is that really successful people who hit all of their targets actually don't set their goals in January. They start working on them way before most people in September. And so that's why I kind of think September is the new January. And I'm going to share with you three things that I think are really key to do before you ever even start working on your New Year's goals in January. And I think you should start working on them in the last quarter of the year. And that's what I do. And that's what I'm working on today. And I thought I would share with you. So there's three main things that you want to do before you can ever get started. The first one is clarity. This is pretty obvious, but you want to make sure that your goal actually has measurable and achievable results, right? So rather than just saying, I really want to, get some clients next year, or I really want to launch a new course, we need to be a little bit more specific about what you actually want to achieve, when you want to achieve it by, what it looks like, maybe even feels like and sounds like when you hit that target, and what that's going to do for you. I think that's really key. And I even take it a bit further and get a little woo with it. And I start thinking about, mapping out what would my day be like if I had already hit this target. And I like to sort of picture that. And that gives me a little bit more motivation, I think, and clarity on all of the pieces that I want in place for this target. And so that's the first thing and really important. And I think one of the most fun parts, but really getting clear on what is the goal that I want to achieve. And what are all the moving pieces that go into actually achieving that thing? You don't necessarily have to have a full project plan at this point, but you do need clarity on the measurable results or what it's going to look like when you hit that target. Then number two, this one is the one that I skipped for a really long time, and now I don't ever. That is removing resistance towards that goal. So here's the thing. The goals that we want to set for the new year are generally really big, scary, cool goals, right? I mean, you could set a goal to like read one book next year, but that's not really like that much of a fun goal. Maybe your goal is to read 20 books next year, and this year you only read three. Or, maybe your goal is to make six figures and this year you only made, 30K all year. That's a scary leap. That's a big jump. And a lot of times we have a lot of resistance to actually achieving that goal. Maybe you want to grow your team. Okay, you have resistance to letting go of control, or maybe you have a little bit of limiting beliefs around finding people who are actually invested in your business just like you are. Second thing to do is remove any resistance you have towards that goal. And so ask yourself some questions like, why do I feel like I can't have this goal? What are some of the ways that I could totally fuck up achieving this goal? What are some of my bad habits that have prevented me so far from getting to that goal? And I think a lot of people sort of avoid thinking about these things. It's like too negative. But I personally think if I'm just honest with myself, then it helps me with number three, which is to get the support that you need. So this can mean so many different things. It can mean just ask, if one of the reasons that you don't think you're going to hit your goal is because you don't have enough quiet time to read as many books as you need, then maybe you need to commit to yourself and put in your calendar to go to the park once a week or something to have the quiet time. Or maybe you need to ask for support from your partner or your family members, or maybe you need to hire someone, or maybe you need to buy a course or a new like training on the thing that you want to achieve, or what are the things that you need to do. Sometimes it's, as simple as like, okay, I need to make sure that every Sunday I clear off my desk so that when Monday comes around, I don't spend the first like 45 minutes cleaning up and kind of getting distracted. Or maybe you want to commit to, spending on paid advertising for the entire year. Then maybe you need to make a commitment for you to go into your business bank account every Friday and set aside a certain amount that you want to be spending on ads, and then going in and checking those numbers and making sure that you're not going into debt and that you're actually being profitable and making those tweaks. So those are little things that I like to do to like set up the support, and it's going to look different for every single goal, but that is really important to ask yourself, what do I need to do to overcome those limiting beliefs that I have, self-sabotage patterns, or just general resistance to achieving that goal? What kind of support do I need to put in place for myself in order to not self-sabotage or all of those things? And then of course, making sure that you have the clarity on the goal so that you can then, when it comes time to, maybe you're coming to the Best Year Yet workshop or something like that, when it comes time to actually breaking down when and how you're going to achieve that target, with what numbers you need to hit, what systems you need to have in place, what automations, what time frame you're going to hit, you have the clarity, so you don't have to think about that. You can just get into planning mode, which is one of my favorite modes. And if you want guidance on that, then definitely come to the workshop. It's one of my favorite things that we do all year. But before that, I would say try the September is the new January model and check out these three or check off these three things in your calendar: clarity, removing resistance, and getting support. If you have those things, then when it comes time to actually start working on those goals in January, you are going to be way ahead of everybody else who's just setting their goals in the first week of the year, maybe a little hungover from too much champagne, or um, whatever. All right. I'd love to hear if you already know what your big goal is for next year, what it is. Please share it with me. And I'm going to go back to doing my own planning. And I'll talk to you soon.